feel free to ask any questions, or if you'd rather, just put them in the chat, and I'm happy to stop and, address your questions. So let me know. Let me know. So I think today's session, are we ready, Dan?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go.
So today's session, we're going to be talking about various features in the grade book and some of the things, tips and tricks and things that you'll find in the grade book. And it's kind of timely because this is when, we start entering those grades. And so to begin with, we're going to take a look at some of the details and some of the features that Canvas Gradebook actually has. One of the things is your ability to hide grades. And you might want to be able to do this. Let's say you've posted the grades in the wrong column, which I have done, or that you have shown the grades too soon before you wanted the students to be able to see them. Basically, all you have to do is hover your cursor over up at the top of the assignment there where your title is, and then you'll see those three dots. Those are your action dots. Whenever you see those three dots, that means there's something there, there's some action available. If you pull down and you select hide grades, this will hide all of the grades in the column, so students won't be able to see it. But remember, it's retroactive, right? You've already entered the grades and you're hiding the grades that are already there. Next slide. By contrast, let's say that you want to enter your grades, and as you enter them, you don't want students to see them immediately. I talked to a faculty member, for example, who teaches writing. Or no, they were actually research papers that she was grading. And in order to maintain some sort of semblance of standardization, what she likes to do is she likes to grade all of those research papers according to her rubric, and then she likes to go back and look at all the A's, and then look at all the B's, and so on. And because in the beginning, you're starting out, you're grading all of those papers, by the end you're tired. Right? And so there's going to be a fluctuation, and this is what she does to be able to standardize those grades. So in that case, your grades have not been entered yet. You have the option of pulling down from those three action dots, right? Pull down from there and select grade posting policy. Next slide. Here you're going to get a pop-out window, and then you're going to select manually. And what this means is that students will not be able to see their grades. They won't get a notification that their assignment has been grading. They're not going to see comments or curving, but you can put comments in the graded comment area, and they'll be able to see that. Once you post the grades manually, the grades, the comments, all of that will be visible, and they will get graded notification. So that's the difference between hiding the whole column or entering the grades manually. Next slide. All right, so while you're in Gradebook, understand that Canvas Gradebook allows you to look and see the status of all your grades across the whole spreadsheet. It'll allow you to see the status just by being color-coded. And so this feature gives you a lot of information at a quick glance. All you need to do, if you can't remember what is green, what is yellow, pull down from View and select Status. And there you'll get the pop-up window, and you'll be able to see what the color coding means. You can change the various colors. So I don't know why, anybody that's done that, but it is possible for you to select the three dots and then change the colors as you choose. Next slide. All right, let's say you want to add a column to Gradebook. This column can be where students have to check in with you. They have to have an office hour with you, and it's not graded, but you want to be able to keep track of which students have met with you. Well, what you're going to want to do then is you're going to want to add a column. So you go to assignments and you select the tab up at the top in assignments. You're going to select add assignments and you're going to name your column, you know, met with instructor. It could even be participation or whatever, right? And that assignment group will be no category. Or if you made it a category, it could be meetings or whatever. And then you can display the grade either as complete, incomplete, so that you know which student met with you and which student did it, or you can just have it not graded. There's nothing graded there. Next slide. And then what you want to make sure you do is as you go down, there when it says submission type, you want to make sure that it says no submission. And then that way you don't have to grade. There's nothing there for them to upload and there's nothing there for them to grade. Okay, what else have we got? Next one. I export my grades every 2 weeks, at least once a month. I keep the grades. I think maybe it's because I feel more comfortable knowing that should the end of the world come, I will still have my grades. So this is how you do it. You just pull down from actions and you select export. Canvas will then say the report is running and it will export as an Excel, comma separated values, and it'll save to your desktop or save wherever you want it on your computer. It'll save it as an Excel. And I just did that for backup all the time. It just make sure that you have them. Next, I think it's the next slide. All right, so when your students look at their grades, they're going to see different totals, different tallies. They're going to see the grade for your assignment group. And your assignment group might be what kind of assignment it is. For example, it could be homework. It could be journals. It could be exams. It could be, no category. So what they're going to see is a tally for an assignment group. And then they're going to see the totals. And understand that what your students will see is the total will tally only the graded assignments. It will not tally according to all of the available points, okay? So this is what your student's going to see, and you can actually check this out by going to student view and looking at your test student tallies and so forth. And that's going to tell you what your students are seeing, because you're going to be getting a lot of questions about their grades. And this is where they're going to be going to look for where their grades are. Next slide. It is possible to turn off the grade totals, and it's possible to turn off the grade distribution graphs. First of all, your grade totals will be the total sum of their grades that we just talked about. And you can turn that off completely by going into settings, scrolling all the way down to the bottom of the page, and there it will say more options. When you click on more options, this list is going to appear. And here is where you can either select hide totals and student grade summary, right? You can hide the total there if you choose, but you can also hide the grade distribution graph from the student. And the reason why we bring this up is because in a lot of grad classes at Kendall have just a few students. They may have only 4 or 5 students in it. And so students will know who got the top grade, who got the bottom grade, and it starts to become a privacy thing. So this is how you can turn that off, so students can't see their standing at all. Does anyone have any questions about any of this? Are we good? All right, over to you, Dan.
Fantastic. Yeah, we just want to, I'm going to hit on a few more features. And these have been kind of derived from the most common questions we get. So we hope it will be beneficial to cover these all in one place, um, and help you be more efficient in your grading at the same time. So next item is curving grades. I'm curious, do either of you do that regularly or ever? No? Okay, thanks, Allie. Okay. I've only helped one or two faculty members with this fall, so I don't think it's terribly common. But there are circumstances where it might be useful. So you can do this on an assignment basis at the assignment level. So anything that is graded will have this option. Again, it's accessed in the Grade Center column, at the column header, as Rhonda described earlier. Just hit the three dots to access the menu, and you can hit Curve Grades. That is going to give you a little pop-up window in the center that'll ask you to enter what you want the class average to be for that assignment. So regardless of what the scores actually are, you can move up that average or move that average to something you think is reasonable. And then Canvas will change all the student scores to try to fit a normal curve, like a normal bell curve kind of situation, based around that average that you provide. So um, I feel safe saying this is probably going to be rare. Um, it is permanent, so be aware of that. This cannot be undone, but you can see the history of the grades, what they were before you curved it. Just the actual grades will now be the curved grades if you decide to do that. So there are, a handful of circumstances where curving can be useful, but it sounds like at least here of those of us here today, it's probably going to be pretty rare. Okay, here's a very common question. My students can't see their grades. You've heard from one or more of your students that the grade for an assignment is not visible. So the first thing to always ask is, did you grade it? Uh, I've gotten that one more than once. It's ungraded. It's just waiting to be graded. The student is just impatient or thinking that it should be already done. But we all know many assignment types take longer to grade than others. So um, that's always where it's always important to be upfront with your students about, how long can they expect to wait. And it's important to, of course, stick to that and provide timely feedback. But in any case, there can be some technical things going on that would maybe prompt this question. So these are the couple most common scenarios. Um, Quizzes that have a combination of question types. Multiple choice questions, true, false, those kinds of things are, of course, graded automatically. There are other question types, mostly open-ended essay type questions that cannot be graded automatically. You have to review them yourself. So if any of those question types are in need of review, you're going to see that. When you go into the speed grader, it'll tell you exactly which questions up in red text at the top. This is just a snapshot of the screen you would see. You can see on the right here. You can see question 1. This is an essay question. It needs your review. So once that's done, you enter the points that have been earned and click the update scores button at the bottom. That will cause it to become visible to the student. It'll be done, once all those are done, the quiz will be done being graded and then visible to the student. Okay. The second common scenario is a resubmission. Rhonda mentioned resubmissions are color coded as green on the spreadsheet. So if you see any of that, that should just be a little flag for you in your brain to double check that everything is actually graded. So if you have a submission that you grade and the student subsequently resubmits it, that new copy is ungraded. So that's an opportunity to go back into the speed grader and grade that for them. Some cases it might be intentional, where you have maybe a draft and then a final copy of a paper or something like that, um, or you've allowed the student to resubmit it for some reason. And it can also be accidental. The student submitted something in the wrong place, or they submitted a new copy correcting some things on their own initiative. That's very common. Um, so you've got two options at that point. You can either grade the new submission and enter a new score, or you'll have this button here that's all, it's just a, this whole big phrase is just one link: use this same grade for the resubmission. If you click that, it will automatically score the resubmission with the grade that's already been entered, and that either of those will cause the grade to become visible to the student. Okay. Okay. We also wanted to share some of the additional features of the speed grader itself. This is the tool you click into that's, one level deeper than the spreadsheet. These are the screens where you're actually viewing the student's work and grading it. So you likely know, get to the speed grader in multiple ways. On the page of the, if you click into an assignment, you can get to the speed grader from that page. There'll be a link on the right, in the right corner. You can also get to it from the spreadsheet in the grade center. Again, that menu on the column header, so important. So many options there. So clicking there will get you the speed grader as well. All right. So that's just the act of getting to it. So that's always step one. Once you're in there, looking at some student work, the screen's going to have two sections. The first section that's on the left is going to be the thing the student submitted. It could be a series of discussion posts. It could be a paper. It could be their quiz results, etc., whatever it might be. On the right side is going to be a side panel that we'll talk about in a second. So when you're looking at the student work, in some cases, you're going to have the ability to do what we call inline feedback. This is the case for assignments, the thing that Canvas calls an assignment. That's often a paper or a presentation, or could be a spreadsheet, but it's something typically that they are creating and submitting. You're not going to see these options for discussions or quizzes. Because this inline feedback tool, it's meant to allow you to point directly to a section of a paper in order to give very specific feedback on particular sections. You can take your pick of the tools, whatever you're most comfortable with or whatever seems most relevant. I've highlighted two here. One is called the point annotation, and the other one's the highlighter, and you can see them both in action right down below here. So you can point to a particular place in a paper. You could also highlight a section, a sentence, a paragraph, whatever you might want to draw attention to, and then your comments will appear on the right side. In a second, when we're talking about the side panel, I'm going to mention talk to text and video feedback. Those are options on the side panel, but they're actually not options for these inline tools here. That's something we know Canvas is working on, but there's no timeline for when they might roll it out. So we are eagerly looking forward to having that available.
Yeah, there's a lot of research about the efficacy of this inline feedback. you know, and for student grades, you know, how the contrast between, you know, the first submission and then using inline feedback in the second submission, and how much better a student will do. So I'm looking forward to being able to talk that, you know, and that Canvas is developing, because it's really important.
Yeah. Okay. This is the sidebar. I've got comments cluttering it up, but it's just white underneath, so don't think you're missing out on anything there. So this will be on the right side of the screen whenever you're in the speed grader. First thing at the top is the timestamp of the thing you're looking at, when the student submitted it. If there are multiple submissions, this will become a drop-down menu, and you can switch between each submission using that drop-down there. You do have the option to, and this is mostly true for assignments where there's a document that's been submitted, a Word doc, PDF, PowerPoint, etc. When that's the case, you will have the option to download it here. Below that is the little box where you enter the points that have been earned. If there's a rubric attached to this assignment, there will be a button roughly here that says View Rubric. I can talk about that in a second. And down at the bottom are the options for general feedback. And when I say general, I just mean comments that apply to the assignment as a whole. So it's not pointing to a specific part of the document, but it's broadly applicable feedback. You can type them just as you might an inline comment. And down at the very, very bottom, you have a series of buttons. You can attach something yourself if you like. If for whatever reason you have a digital rubric that is not built into Canvas, but you're using it in Word or something like that, you can attach it there. These are the two options I mentioned a second ago. The center one is for video feedback. That uses the same tool as Studio. You might be familiar with Canvas Studio if you've ever recorded a lecture or something like that. It'll bring you a pop-up window where you can select a microphone and camera to record some general comments that will appear right here on the sidebar. You can review it at that point and save it to send it along to the student. The other button here is a talk to text feature. So that requires a microphone, you can imagine. You just say your comments and it will translate it into text, and that will appear in this text box just as if you had typed it. So two super useful tools. And we wanted to make special note of the fact that video feedback is fantastic. You typically are talking faster than you type, so you can convey more information. You can also take advantage of the depth and tone and meaning you can convey with your voice that's not really that possible when it's text only. So we encourage you to take advantage of that if you're not already. Okay, and always be sure to hit submit when you're done. That way, all the feedback will be sent to the student. They'll get their notifications, and everyone will be happy. Okay, I mentioned rubrics too. Rubrics are a great tool. Canvas has a great rubric building engine built right in. After you build one and attach it to an assignment, you go into the speed grader and you'll have that view rubric button right on the sidebar. When you click it, the rubric will expand and it'll look something like this. You might have to readjust your browser window to see the whole thing, but it's well worth it. So you will have created the criterion down the left side and the ratings across the center here. Each criterion will have its series of ratings, and each rating acts as a button that you can click. When you do that, that category will be awarded that number of points. So here, for example, we've clicked the 5 for content, the 3 for skills, and the 0 for mechanics. You can see these are also color coded. Red for not great, orange for in the middle, and green for good. And so those will vary depending on how many ratings you have. You can also add comments on the rubric that are specific to each criterion. For example, here in the center, you see I have no comment. If I wanted to add one, I've got this little button on the right edge. I can click that to open up a text box such as the one we've got here. So this is a great place to provide a different kind of specific feedback. If they don't have full marks in some category, this is where you can tell them why not. You know, where specifically can they improve the next time around. Similarly, we've got a comment down here. Not so hot in the mechanics department for this paper. So we're telling them why. At the bottom, of course, it will tally the points you've awarded through across all the criteria to get the total score for the assignment. Okay, there is a save button below all this, so be sure to click that and then click submit when you're all done grading.
Dan, I just wanted to add that when you create this rubric, you also have the option to create it according to a range. So you could go 5 to 4 marks, 4 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 1. And it, you know, in that way, it allows you to tweak it a little bit and, you know, add kind of the subtleties, the gray area there that sometimes really helpful when you're grading.
Yeah, I didn't happen to do that here, but I absolutely encourage that. Yeah, it just gives you a lot more flexibility.
Right.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's a kind of an odd point we wanted to make. You may have seen when you have a new course on your left navigation menu, there's often going to be a button that says send grades to Banner. That is meant to be super convenient method of submitting your final grades. But so far, it's been unreliable. So we can't recommend that it's used at this point. We want to get that fixed, but the process it uses has to do with how Banner talks to Canvas, and that has just been a little too inconsistent for our taste. So we're just not recommending its use at this point. We're happy to talk through the process of submitting midterms or final grades if you want to follow up individually, but just broadly, in my FSU, it's very easy to navigate to your faculty and advisors tab, select final grades, which will be somewhere near the top center with the A+ paper icon here. You'll be able to select the term and your course. That'll give you a list of your class roster and a place to enter the grade for each of them. So pretty straightforward, but important that they're entered there along with anything that might be in Canvas. Great. All right. We must be super efficient, Rhonda, because we're well ahead of schedule.
Yeah. Any questions so far? Anything that you have found that in the grade book in Canvas that doesn't make a lot of sense? You need some help with?
I have a question. It's about how to calculate the final grade. So I found a way. I mean, earlier before Canvas, when we used Blackboard, I download all the grades and use a formula to subtract some, like say I want to drop 2 lowest quiz grade, like that. I will do it in Excel, but here I think we can do that right on Canvas. So
sure.
I
Yeah.
put my grades into categories. So I think I probably able to figure out how to do that, but my question is a little complicated because for each, so let's say my worksheet or quizzes has 10% of the grade and the exam is 40% like that. So I was able to create that, and for my midterm grades I used it. But the thing is, now when I want to do the final grade, I want to, so for each quiz I give them like extra credit retake assignment. So that is also in the quiz category, quiz folder. So now it has quizzes and some extra credit ones that is related to quiz in the same folder. Let's say quizzes are 30% of their grade. So if I want to drop 2 quizzes when it has so many other extra credit things, how I manipulate it?
One solution I can think of is and it depends though. Are you dropping, say, the 2 lowest scores per student, or are you dropping
Yeah.
2 quizzes for the whole class?
No, per student.
Per student. Okay. Then the thing I thought of is not going to work.
Okay.
It's possible to do it the other way, but that's not going to be very helpful. I'd have to click over to a grade center just to check out if there might be anything.
I'm wondering if there might be something in the grade posting, grade policy.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
I'm looking for an active class that I can in dashboard, my dashboard, to see how that would work.
Right. There's nothing obvious jumping out at me, but we can certainly look into that and let you know what we turn up.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's complicated because of otherwise I think I know how to I think it has a way how to drop 2 lowest assignments for each category. That I can do. But my problem is because I have some extra credit that related to quizzes also in the same folder. So that's the problem.
Okay. Yeah, and when it's we'll certainly look into that. At the very least, you can do what it sounds like you've been doing, which is manipulate the Excel spreadsheet after you've exported it.
Yeah.
I don't know that the formulas export for the total columns. Rhonda, do you happen to know if that's the case?
The formulas don't export to Excel for the total columns.
Okay, so if you delete something, the total is not going to update.
Correct.
Okay, I have to imagine there's an easier way then than trying to mess around with that.
Yeah, I'm not finding anything, and I'm looking around in an active class, in an active grade book.
Yeah, we'll keep digging on that for you, Professor.
That's a good question.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I see here that video feedback has no caption by default, and you're recommending using a third-party service. But you had also said that it's going through Studio. So Studio does captions that you need to edit. So can you do the captions?
It uses the same tool, but it's honestly it's so frustrating. It'll pull up the same tool. It'll look like the same interface, but the way that it saves, it's just saved in the gradebook, and it's not saved in Studio itself. So Studio is the place where you've got that additional functionality. I can show you back here.
It actually just attaches Studio recording then in the students?
Yeah,
Grade?
can you see that right here?
Yeah. Mhm.
This is what it looks like when you do a video comment here. So if I were to pull it up here, you can see there's not much going on. It's just the video in a very basic form, and we have the ability here to upload subtitles, but what it does is kick you out. This is the third-party tool I was mentioning. I didn't even get as far as determining what kind of cost there might be. It says free, but I didn't get further than this. So if you want to get into using that third-party tool, that's something we can talk more about if you like. I'm not that familiar with it. Alternatively, you can upload it, upload your captions,
Okay.
but
I
that
did
would
see.
involve probably typing them out. So the difference between typing it there or putting them in as a comment here, it's probably 6 of 1 for which is more efficient. But we just wanted to point out that the functionality here is pretty basic. So in terms of accessibility, this doesn't really meet the mark in our opinion, but it does still have the benefits of being a video. So I'm sorry, Allie, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and just a couple other points along the lines of accessibility as we wrap up. Not everything is available in all browsers. That's probably the most common source of students not being able to see or do things in Canvas. They're using Safari, or if they're really off the wheels, they're using Internet Explorer or something like that. So Chrome's often the best. Firefox works for most things. But just bear in mind, it's gonna be different, and not all browsers are created equal. And it's also different on the app, the Canvas mobile apps. There's, if you're not aware, there are 2 versions. One's called Canvas Student for students, and one's called Canvas Teacher for instructors. So be sure that you're using Canvas Student, or excuse me, the other one, Canvas Teacher. Canvas Student is actually useful to have though as well, because if you ever want to go into the student view from the app, it'll make you download Canvas Student. So I have both on my phone. So students are increasingly making use of the app on their phone or their tablet or something. So if you prefer that, or just simply want to know what your students are talking about, just be aware the app is out there and it's in use, and it has far less features than trying to access it on a computer. So they can do most things, but they can't do everything. Same with Canvas Teacher. You're not going to have full functionality, but it does provide a basic view of your course. Okay. You are surely aware of, you will be aware of any documented accommodations that you need to have in place for any individuals. Also bear in mind undocumented disabilities that your students might have that for whatever reason they've chosen not to disclose or chosen not to document, but they could still affect their learning experience. So I don't know, our team loves to talk about universal design and stuff like that. So that's kind of the pie in the sky goal, and the gold standard of for accessibility and learning. But that's beyond our scope today. But we're happy to talk more if you're interested in that. In terms of the Grade Center, you know, if an accommodation requires a student has more time, you know, obviously the grading for that, you know, you won't have the ability to grade it until that window has passed for the student. So that's another, you know, another kind of situation where the hiding of the grades might be useful, you know,
Right.
so that, you know, you can be sure all students have completed the assignment before you grade and release the grades. Okay. You know, and I'm trying not to read this to you, but you know, we're just we just can never know all the circumstances that our students are dealing with in their lives, technological or otherwise, that might be affecting their ability to learn and participate and be engaged. So, you know, as things come up, you know, the eLearning team, we're happy to engage with you to be sure that everyone's having the best experience. Okay. And at this point, are there any additional questions about the Canvas Grade Center?
Any questions at all that we can answer?
Thank you for the overview.
You're welcome.
I thank you both so much for
Thank you.
joining us.
So Dan, where is this video going to be posted?
Oh, great question. We're going to have it on our YouTube channel alongside all the other sessions we've been hosting. And we'll be sure to send you the direct link along with the presentation as well.
Right.
Probably yet this evening.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
All right. Well, have a great rest of the semester, and we'll see you in the near future, we hope.
Thank you.
You're welcome.